If you're someone who's looking for a little bit more structure, a little bit more organization in your day, across your week, but you just have no idea where to start, today I'm going to share 5 systems that have completely changed my life and that will give you that clarity and organization that you've been looking for. If you guys are new to the channel or coming across the video for the first time, welcome. My name is Erika. I'm the host and founder of the Balance Theory podcast. And for the last 5 years, I've been running this channel to document all things personal development, self-growth, and actually give you guys practical tools that make a difference in your day-to-day life, right? Not just talk about these high-level concepts in a fluffy way. I really like breaking things down so that you can walk away from every single episode with things that you can actually implement starting from right now. With that being said, today's conversation is one I'm really excited to have with you guys because a question I get asked all the time is, how are you so organized? I run a legal consulting business. I've got this podcast that I launch an episode every single week without fail. You guys can count on me for that. I've been doing it for 5 years. I have a baby on the way. On the outside, it looks like there's a lot going on. On the inside, there are some very key systems that help me kind of manage that and keep it all together. And I want to share those with you today. So you can cherry pick which ones you want to implement. Maybe you want to implement them all, but they will change your life. So we're going to get straight into it. The first system is having a goal setting system. Now, you might think, how is having a goal setting system going to be relevant for day-to-day life? Well, you're in for a treat. My goal setting system is one that takes something I want to work towards, which often for many of us is across a long-term time frame, right? It's not something we want to do tomorrow. It's something we want to achieve across a year, often maybe a couple of months. And so what we often do is we'll set a goal. It feels so far from where we are right now and who we are. It feels like there's so much work that needs to happen that gap just feels really overwhelming. And it's really difficult to see what are the things I need to do today, this week, this month, in order to work towards our goal. So having a goal setting system, what it does is it breaks down that massive goal into micro goals. I'm talking even down to the day, right? You go from a year down to quarter, down to a month, down to a week, down to the day, so that you have clarity and purpose every single day. You're not waking up thinking, when's it going to happen? I'm kind of working on this one lead. Like maybe that thing's going to happen. It's a very wishy-washy way of working towards your goals. But if you want a bit of structure and you want that purpose and clarity every single day, then you need to have a system for your goal setting. Now, I have an ebook. It's extremely comprehensive. There's also a podcast that goes along with it, and it will literally take you through how to set this up in a way that I have formulated that works for me. So if you guys want to check that out, the link is in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, it's on the screen now. But whether you try this out or whether you find something that works for you, you need to have some sort of a system that takes your massive goal into micro goals and something you can manage on a day-to-day basis, or gives you a bit of purpose for week to week, right? Otherwise, we just wander around aimlessly. We get to the end of the year and we think, well, that goal didn't happen. Let's just push it on to next year. Or we didn't really achieve what we wanted to do. Or maybe we're chasing something that's no longer aligned for us. So these questions are really important to give us a bit of structure in our short-term time when working towards long-term things. And this one has been a game changer and has allowed me to create leaps and bounds in my accomplishments and my successes. And that's why I've put it as number 1, because it is the most important thing for keeping you on track and in direction. So that's number 1. Number 2 is having a night system, or like a sleep system. We go on and on about having a morning routine, but do you know how equally important it is to have a night routine? And I talk about having a system around that, right? But it's basically just a routine. How are you going to bed? Because I'll tell you one thing, how you go to bed is how you're going to wake up. If you go to bed stressed and chaotic, you're not allowing yourself to get into that proper restorative rest, you're not going to be able to wake up and smash that morning routine and achieve all the things on your goal setting system, right? And show up as the person you want to show up as. So having a wind down routine is essential. This doesn't need to be a 20-step, holistic, absolute perfect routine. We just need some sort of string of activities that calm you, that detach you from your day, because otherwise you're going from the chaos of what is go, go, go energy most of the day. And I can guarantee that's the case for most of you, because you're all ambitious people who listen to this channel, just like me. We're all in the same boat. So you need to have something that helps you unwind, whether that is reading, right? Whether it's having a warm shower, whether it's going for a walk or doing some stretching. Like, everyone's super different. And this part is not for me to tell you what goes in your night routine. It's just that you need to have one. But I will share mine. So our lights go dim from sunset. Once the sun goes down, there are no big glaring lights. If I'm using my computer, which is very rare because the tech in my face late at night, it just keeps me up. That's actually a rule I have, an hour before bed, no tech. But it kind of goes in tandem with the low light, right? So having a blue light filter on or using the blue light blocker glasses, those kinds of things. So light for me is important. I like to, now that I've been pregnant, I've been really enjoying just lying on the couch and feeling the baby move. But before that was a lot of yin yoga and reading, and my husband and I used to go for walks when the weather was a bit nicer in Dubai. So it does shift for me, but I always have an activity that kind of grounds and resets me. And then I always end with a warm shower before bed because the warmth and the steam, it just shower straight to bed. It's like a magic dose. So just find the activities that work for you and try and stick to them, because the second thing you're doing there is signaling to your body that it's time to go to bed. When you repeat something over and over, it kind of gets prepared for that, right? Like in the morning when you wake up and you train and you have a coffee, then you're ready to sit down and work. It's the same kind of thing when you start to unwind and you slow down and you have that shower and you get into bed, the body knows that you're going to sleep. I'd love for you to try it and let me know how that impacts your quality of sleep, because I found when I started to implement this, it just took my sleep like 4 levels deeper. It was beautiful. So this is really important, and why I've put it as number 2 ahead of number 3, which is having a morning routine or a system for your mornings. Now, I will say this is important, but I do feel if you only had to pick one, I would rather you have a night routine than a morning routine, because honestly, I think as I said before, how you sleep is how you wake up. But that being said, having a morning routine is obviously amazing. It sets you up for the day. It helps you channel your energy. And I look at having a system in the morning as how am I cultivating that initial first hours of the day for myself? Because this is the window of time where I have control, right? I can decide when I open myself up to the world through my phone, through emails, through social media. I have that control. And so I have a bit of a rule within my system. I don't go on my phone until I've done my non-negotiables, which are training, meditating, and having breakfast. Then I allow myself to kind of start the day. There are a lot of people who have many different kind of schedules, right? There are people who work night shifts, or there are people who start later in the day, or that don't like to train in the morning. So a morning routine doesn't have to look like this idyllic going to the gym and meditating and all of that. It's just how are you waking up and starting your day? What energy is that in? Can you implement a system around that? You know what, when I say system, I want you to think about like rules, right? Like what are the rules you want to set for yourself? Is it whether it's discipline with your phone, or the first things you want to do, or the things you really enjoy that you want to feature every single day, like getting a bit of sun or having your coffee outside or really taking in that first sip. Like it doesn't have to be anything drastic, but trust me, having these systems in place just brings so much more intention to a point where you're actually enjoying and being present in your time, right? You're not going through autopilot. You're prioritizing the things you say are most important. So morning routine is going to be really personal to you, but having a system around that and rules that allow you to enjoy it the way you want to is critical. You guys know how much I value health and wellness, but I'll admit, choosing whole foods, supplements, and vitamins can feel so overwhelming. I find it so hard to know which brands are clean and high quality versus those that just claim that they are. That's why I'm so excited to have Organics as a sponsor of today's episode, because their range of clean and effective products have become an absolute staple in my routine over the last few months, notably the bone broth and the collagen powder. What really sets them apart from other brands, in my opinion, is their research-backed approach. I take so much comfort in knowing that every single ingredient has been thoughtfully researched by their in-house team of nutritionists. With over 25 years of experience, it's no wonder they're a trusted brand. You guys, if you're in Australia, may have even seen them in Woolies. As an added bonus, they're family, pregnancy, and postpartum friendly, so you know that they're packed with nothing but the good stuff. If you, like me, just want to take quality supplements without having to decipher and decode every ingredient or back of label of every product, then I highly recommend trying Organics. The team have kindly given us a code so that you can get 15% off your order. So head to nutraorganics.com.au or hit the link in the show notes and use the code The Balance Theory at checkout. Let's get back into today's episode. Number 4 is having a food system. I feel like that's a bit of a weird way to phrase it, and I could probably work on a better description, but let's go with it. Food system. What do I mean when I say this? I mean some sort of system for how and what you're eating. So many people complain that they don't have time to meal prep, right? Have a system for it. You guys want to know what my system is? And if I, by the way, don't stick to it, I'm ordering takeaway during the week because I've just not carved out the time. So this system for me has been so important because for those of you who've listened to the channel for a while, you'll know that meal prepping and having home cooked meals is something that's one of my non-negotiables. When we talk about balance within the balance theory, I have very clear non-negotiables, and making my own food is one of those. And so I needed to develop a system so that I am routinely having time to prepare and organize myself for the week. Because let's be honest, it takes a couple of hours. And if you're not intentionally putting that in your time, or you don't have a system for it, then you're going to forever be saying, I don't have time to meal prep. So my system is very simple. On a Saturday, I will plan and organize everything I'm eating, and then I will order all the food. I live in a city where I can order food and it arrives next day. It's a privilege I'm very grateful for. For some of you, that might look like doing the groceries on the same day, right? Because I find the planning for me is actually a lot of mental work, and I don't like doing that on the same day as I'm prepping everything. It's like overload, right? So I just do the planning and the ordering on a Saturday. Sunday, everything arrives, and then I prep. So that ends up being, 30 minutes on a Saturday, and then a couple of hours on a Sunday, and I'm basically set for the week. And that just sets me up to be so organized and efficient. I do a lot of things like overnight oats or muffins, like things I can actually pre-do that last the whole week. So I'm not having to do too much. With like the proteins and stuff, I don't like preparing meat too far in advance, or fish even. So I'll do like a Monday and Wednesday cook, but that's normally dinners or lunches, if that. So you can take my system, the split Saturday, Sunday, or you can find something that works for you. But if you want to eat healthier and you want to start prepping your own food, you have to intentionally carve out that time. It's not just going to magically happen, right? That's why we have systems. And lucky last is an exercise system. Again, if you're somebody who enjoys working out, if you're someone who has exercise as a non-negotiable, as a part of your routine, this one might cross over with like your morning routine if you like doing it in the morning. But I'm talking a little bit more nuanced than that. It's not just when you do it, but it's what are you doing when you work out? Because it's super easy to carve out the time. But then when you show up to do it, are you plucking random workouts on YouTube? Are you intuitively moving? Are you deciding that you're going to have a bit of a schedule, like in terms of a weightlifting schedule? Up until maybe the last trimester of my pregnancy, I was still able to do weights. And every time I have not had a program to follow with weights, I've just been all over the place. I go into the gym and kind of wander around aimlessly, and my workouts are not effective. And I hate that. I hate when I go to the gym and I feel like I've just sort of floated around for an hour. So having a system is so important, and it really helps you get the most out of your workout. So whether it's following a program, getting an ebook, getting a PT, or just thinking about how you're going to have some progress in your exercise, it just creates so much more discipline and focus. And also all of these things, it's to take the mental load out of doing it, because that's what turns us off a lot of the time. It becomes too hard when you have to think too much about it. So systems help remove the thinking and implement some actionable things that you kind of can just follow, right? Like you don't have to overthink about it. It's not complicated, and you're therefore much more likely to stick to it and be disciplined and consistent towards what you're working towards. I want to give you guys a tip before you go ahead and implement all of these. I want you to think about which one would add the most value to your life right now. Because when we want to make change, if we go and uphaul everything in our life all at once, it becomes really chaotic and it feels like it's too much. We need stability, right? So don't go and overhaul everything in your life. Pick one to start with. Acknowledge it's going to be a little bit difficult to onboard and sort of get in routine. But once you feel like that system has cemented itself and become like an organic part of your life, then you can look to implement and kind of upgrade other areas. I'd love to know which of these systems kind of stood out for you. Are these ones you're already doing? Is it one I've missed that you guys use in your day-to-day life that you would add to the list? I'd love to hear it. Put it in the comments below. And if you're really interested in this idea of productivity and how to work smarter and how to really optimize your time, I had the most interesting conversation with a psychologist on productivity. So she gave us both a personal and professional insight into productivity, and it really expanded my mind in terms of how I was understanding this subject area, which is something I'm so passionate about. So that was with Dr. Saliha Afridi. I'm going to put a link to it in the show notes. It's also on the screen now if you're on YouTube, but I highly recommend checking that out if productivity is something you're really interested in. That's it from me, guys. I'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, stay balanced.